You didn't stumble on this by accident. This is a divine appointment. If you're watching this right now, it means God paused your scroll for a reason. It means heaven sees you. This isn't just another video. This is a sacred message for the chosen ones, the quiet warriors, the ones who've endured more than they've ever shared. And if you've been carrying your strength in silence, this word is for you. Welcome to Spiritual Journals, where every message is designed to reignite faith, restore purpose, and uncover the glory God placed inside you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt overlooked, even though you've been faithful? Have you ever watched others get celebrated while your obedience was buried in the background? Have you chosen peace while everyone expected a reaction and still wondered if it mattered? Friend, it mattered. Heaven recorded it. Your quiet strength has been shaking things in the spirit realm, and now it's time to rise. This message will show you how the Bible honors the hidden, the humble, the holy ones who didn't fight for attention, but stood firm in faith. You didn't just survive the fire. You're about to walk out carrying wisdom, authority, and legacy. The world may not have noticed your tears, but God did. And He's about to use what you thought was silence as a weapon of breakthrough. So before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to Spiritual Journals and turn on notifications, because this channel is more than encouragement, it's divine instruction. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the kind of believer who keeps showing up. This is your moment. This is your confirmation. Let's begin. Silence is not surrender, it's strategy. There is a sacred kind of power in choosing silence. In a noisy world that rewards reaction, where people expect you to defend yourself, clap back, or argue for your worth, choosing stillness is a spiritual weapon. When the enemy throws chaos your way, when rumors fly like arrows, when you're misjudged, mislabeled, and misunderstood, choosing silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom in motion. You didn't stay quiet because you didn't care. You stayed quiet because you were listening to a higher voice. And that kind of obedience shakes the very atmosphere around you. That's not passivity, that's power. The Bible is full of stories where silence carried strength. One of the most powerful moments of silence came from Jesus himself. As he stood before Pilate, falsely accused and mocked, he said nothing. Matthew 27:14 tells us, "But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor." Why didn't he speak? Because truth doesn't need to argue. When you know who you are in God, you don't have to prove it to anyone else. You can rest in your identity, even when others try to define you by your pain, your past, or their own projections. Silence is not surrender, it's strategy. It's the Holy Spirit whispering, "Be still and know that I am God," Psalm 46:10. It's not the absence of action, it's the presence of divine trust. Some battles are not meant to be fought with words, but with worship. When you remain quiet in the face of conflict, you're declaring with your spirit, "The battle is not mine, it belongs to the Lord," 2 Chronicles 20:15. That's not weakness, that's faith, and it confuses the enemy every single time. People may mistake your stillness for indifference, but God knows it's obedience, and obedience always brings a harvest. Maybe you've been waiting for a moment to be heard, to be seen, to be vindicated. But friend, let me encourage you. Heaven saw every moment you bit your tongue, every time you cried in secret, every time you walked away when you could have fought back. The world calls that silence. God calls it seed. And Galatians 6:9 reminds us, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Your silent seasons were never wasted. They were sacred ground. Sometimes the most powerful motivational speech is the one you preach to yourself in the quiet. When you look in the mirror and say, "I won't let this break me." When you whisper in prayer, "God, I trust you," even when it hurts. Those moments may not go viral, but they echo in heaven. They shift things in the spirit. And maybe you didn't see the results yet. Maybe the people who hurt you haven't apologized. Maybe the truth hasn't come to light. But hear this, the truth is never late. And when God reveals it, it will not only clear your name, it will elevate your story. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." Let's take this deeper. What if God was using your silence not just to protect you, but to prepare you? What if in the quiet he was building your character, sharpening your discernment, growing your resilience? What if the delay was actually divine training? Moses was silent on the backside of a desert for years before he ever stood before Pharaoh. David endured hidden years in caves before he ever wore the crown. Joseph sat in a prison cell, accused and forgotten, long before he ruled Egypt. Their silence wasn't their sentence, it was their setup, and yours is too. Silence also allows you to hear what others miss. When you're not caught up in defending yourself, you can hear God's whisper in the chaos. You can discern who's real and who's not. You can recognize what's worth your energy and what's not your assignment. That's why Proverbs 17:27 says, "The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered." In other words, the wiser you are, the less you feel the need to respond. Your strength is in your restraint. Maybe you've been battling something quietly, holding your peace while others spread noise. Let this word sink in. You are not losing. You are building. You are growing. You are laying the groundwork for a victory that will speak for itself. You don't need to announce your next move. God is preparing to make it public. And when he does, it will be undeniable. Just like Psalm 23:5 says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies," not in secret, in full view. Because your silence is not invisibility, it's incubation. And here's something fresh you can do. Write a letter to God, not a prayer request, a thank you letter for every moment he held you back from reacting, for every time he covered your name when others tried to ruin it, for every whisper that reminded you, you are mine. You don't have to fight like the world fights. That simple act will not only shift your perspective, it will draw you closer to the peace that surpasses all understanding. Philippians 4:7. So today, let your silence be your sermon. Let it be your motivational speech to the world that says, "I trust God more than I trust revenge. I trust his justice more than I trust my voice." Because what's coming is bigger than a response. It's restoration, and it will come wrapped in peace, dripping in favor, soaked in glory. If this word reached deep into your spirit, I want you to comment below. God, I trust you to fight the battles I can't see. Bless me with the strength to be still. Let that be your moment of alignment. Let heaven see your heart. And know this, God never overlooks the silent ones. He honors them. He lifts them. He crowns them with peace. You didn't stay silent because you were weak. You stayed silent because you were wise. And soon the world will understand what God already knows. You were winning the whole time.
Mental health, truth, and the shift of perception. Choosing silence is not weakness, it's divine protection. It's you recognizing that not every battle deserves your voice, and not every accusation deserves your energy. In a world that runs on noise, being still is an act of bold faith. You chose to protect your peace, your mental health, and your emotional stability. And that choice, no matter how misunderstood it was at the time, was heaven-aligned. God saw it. He counted every tear you didn't explain. He recorded every insult you absorbed without retaliation. He witnessed you walk away, not because you couldn't fight, but because you were saving your strength for something greater. The story is already shifting. The chapter that was written with betrayal and misunderstanding is being revised by the hand of God Himself. What once looked like rejection is being redefined as redirection. You are no longer being buried by false perceptions. You're being planted for divine growth. When you decided not to clap back, you clapped forward. You moved into purpose. Your silence became the soil where your calling was watered. And now the same people who questioned your absence will soon be standing in awe of your presence. They thought you were hiding, but you were healing. They thought you gave up, but you were being rebuilt. Proverbs 16:7 tells us, "When a man's ways please the Lord, He makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. God is not just changing their minds about you, He's shifting the entire spiritual climate around your life. Where there was resistance, there will be favor. Where there was confusion, there will be clarity. Sometimes the most revolutionary thing you can do is be quiet. Not silent out of defeat, but silent out of discipline. Because when you prioritize your peace, you're saying, I value what God is building in me more than I value the approval of people who never truly saw me. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. That's the kind of wisdom that comes from sitting with God in the quiet, in the hidden places, in the spaces where healing happens beneath the surface. Let me invite you into a guided meditation moment. Take a deep breath. Imagine Jesus walking into the room. He sees you. He knows what they said. He knows what they assumed. He knows the weight you've carried without ever saying a word. And He's not asking you to explain. He's just asking you to rest. Picture Him placing His hand over your heart and whispering, I've got this. Let that become your new inner rhythm. Peace over panic. Purpose over performance. Presence over proving. Breathe in the truth that you are deeply loved. Exhale the pressure to be understood. This is your holy pause. Mental health matters to God. Your emotional well-being is not a side note, it's central to your calling. Jesus said in Matthew 11:28, Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. That rest isn't just for your body, it's for your mind. It's for the overthinking. It's for the nights you couldn't sleep. It's for the days you smiled through anxiety. Choosing silence was your way of saying, I need space to breathe, and heaven honored that choice. We often think of truth as something external, facts, justice, proof. But truth is also deeply internal. It's knowing who you are in Christ when everyone else tries to tell you something different. It's anchoring your identity not in people's perception, but in God's declaration. John 8:32 says, Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. That freedom doesn't always come from confronting the lie. Sometimes it comes from resting in the truth long enough for the lie to collapse on its own. You don't need revenge. You carry revelation, and revelation carries weight. It's the quiet authority that walks into a room and shifts the atmosphere. It's the light you bring even when you say nothing. It's the understanding that the same God who saw Daniel in the lion's den, who walked with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fire, is walking with you now, and He's using every silent season to prepare you for public favor. Romans 8:28 assures us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who are called according to His purpose. Not some things, all things. Even the moments that broke your heart, even the misunderstandings, even the silence. Here's something new to try. Create a truth jar. Every day, write down one truth about who you are in Christ and put it in the jar. On the days when you feel like the noise is louder than your peace, pull one out and read it aloud. Let the Word remind you of your worth. Let the truth recalibrate your spirit. This simple act can become a daily guided meditation, a way to anchor your heart in what's eternal instead of what's temporary. From another angle, think of how Jesus handled His most painful moments. Before He was betrayed, He withdrew to the Garden of Gethsemane. He didn't gather a crowd. He didn't post a defense. He went into solitude, and He prayed. Luke 22:44 says, And being in anguish, He prayed more earnestly, and His sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. Even the Son of God needed a place to be alone with His Father. If Jesus valued mental and emotional alignment through quiet surrender, so should we. So today, don't regret the moments you didn't speak up. Don't shame yourself for walking away. Don't let anyone guilt you for choosing peace. You did what was needed. You did what was holy, and your future is better because of it. Your silence has sown seeds that are about to bloom into wisdom, favor, and joy. What you didn't say is becoming what God will shout on your behalf. If this message touched your heart, if it brought you peace or reminded you of your worth, I want you to write this in the comments. God, thank you for the peace that protects and the truth that heals. Bless me with strength to keep choosing your way. Let that be your prophetic response. Let heaven see your alignment. Let this moment be the one where your spirit says, I may be quiet, but I am not powerless. You are not lost, you are led. You are not forgotten, you are favored. And every ounce of peace you fought for is coming back multiplied. Stay still, stay grounded, stay close to the one who sees it all. And when the world watches you rise, they'll know it wasn't revenge, it was revelation. It wasn't noise, it was glory in motion.
You were sent, not just present. There's a reason you were in that room, a reason you crossed paths with that soul. You didn't just show up, you were sent. Heaven's strategy put you there, not by coincidence, not by random alignment, but by divine appointment. You weren't simply present, you were positioned. You might not have understood it in the moment. You may have questioned why the weight in the room seemed heavier when you walked in, or why your heart picked up burdens no one talked about. But now you're starting to see it, aren't you? That conversation, that meeting, that unexpected encounter, it had purpose written all over it. Because God saw what others couldn't. He saw the heartache you survived, the betrayal you endured in silence, the countless prayers you prayed through sleepless nights. And still, he said, I can send them. I can trust them there. That's not an accident. That's an assignment. Your presence in that moment carried weight, not because of how loud you were, but because of how anchored you were. You didn't shift atmospheres by raising your voice. You shifted them by staying grounded. God has been refining you in the fire of quiet seasons, training your heart in the school of heartbreak, maturing your character in rooms where you were overlooked. And now, he's sending you, not to impress, but to influence, not to be seen, but to see what others miss, to notice the soul behind the smile, the cry behind the calm, the hunger behind the silence. That's the kind of awareness that only comes from a life that's been broken and healed again. That's what makes you dangerous in the spirit, because you move with mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't just a concept from psychology or meditation, it's a biblical practice. It's what Jesus did when he looked beyond the crowd and noticed the one bleeding woman who touched his cloak. It's what he practiced when he lingered at the well with a Samaritan woman who others passed by. It's how he moved through every city, with intention, with compassion, with holy awareness. Luke 19:10 says, "For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." That requires focus. That requires attention. That requires mindfulness. And you, beloved, have been called to carry that same spirit into every room you enter. Maybe you felt out of place. Maybe you wondered why you were the one who felt the tension when no one else did, or why your spirit got stirred when something unspoken lingered in the air. That's not random. That's your discernment in motion. That's God's training on display. He didn't give you sensitivity to burden you. He gave it to you so you could see clearly in a world drowning in distraction. He gave you the ability to feel deeply, not so you could carry the pain forever, but so you could carry hope to those who are still hurting. You are the answer to someone's silent prayer. You are the comfort in a room full of chaos. You are the calm in a storm someone else has stopped fighting. And the reason you're still standing is because God trusted you with this kind of calling. A calling that doesn't chase applause. A calling that doesn't need a stage. A calling that says, even if no one sees what I carry, I will still show up. I will still be faithful. I will still pour out peace even when I'm tired. Let me offer you something practical and refreshing, a mindfulness walk with God. Step outside, even if only for a few minutes. As you walk, practice being present with Him. Notice the sky, the feel of the wind, the sound of your breath. Say, Lord, speak to me here. Let your surroundings become a canvas for His voice. Every tree becomes a reminder of growth. Every breeze a whisper of His nearness. You're not just walking to clear your head, you're walking in step with the one who orders your steps. Psalm 37:23 says, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delighteth in His way." Let that truth settle in your spirit. You're walking where God leads even when you don't fully understand why. And here's something else to help you stay aligned with your mission. Keep a scent journal. Each time you find yourself in a situation where you feel that tug, that spiritual sensitivity, that awareness that something deeper is happening, write it down. Ask God, what do you want me to see here? Reflect on what shifts in you when you choose to observe instead of react, to bless instead of defend, to listen instead of speak. These moments are shaping you. They're revealing your unique spiritual blueprint. The Bible tells us in Esther 4:14, "And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" Esther wasn't loud. She wasn't even known for her presence until she stepped into her moment. But she was placed there with precision. So were you. That family gathering where tension filled the air, you were sent. That workplace full of hidden grief, you were sent. That online conversation that suddenly turned into something deeper, you were sent. Your mindfulness, your ability to perceive what others overlook, is not a burden, it's your assignment. You're not here to blend, you're here to bless. You're not here to conform, you're here to transform. Romans 12:2 calls us not to be conformed to the pattern of this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. That's what mindfulness does. It renews your mind, sharpens your spirit, and aligns you with heaven's rhythm. You walk into places and atmospheres begin to shift, not because you shouted, but because you carried peace like a garment. That's kingdom work. That's holy ground. If this word has stirred your heart, if you feel that holy ache of recognition, if you sense that your presence has purpose beyond what meets the eye, I want you to comment this below. Lord, thank you for sending me. Bless me to walk with mindfulness, purpose, and peace. Let that be your declaration today. Let it mark your spirit and remind you that you never walk into a space without divine reason. You are not random. You are righteous. You are not forgotten. You are faithfully positioned. And every room you enter, every soul you connect with, every moment you think was small, God is using it all. You were sent not just to be present, but to be powerful in quiet ways, to be a light in the dark, a balm in brokenness, a calm in the middle of emotional storms. And you don't have to strive to be that. Just be who God made you to be. Mindful, present, anointed, sent. And the world will never be the same.
The power of observers and hidden builders. You're not loud, but you're legendary. You've never needed to be the center of the spotlight because you understood early that purpose doesn't require performance. While others rush to be noticed, you've been quietly building something that lasts. You're the hidden builder, the sacred observer, the one who sees beyond the surface and listens for what isn't said out loud. You watch with wisdom. You move with intention. You don't rush because you trust. And while the world celebrates noise, God is honoring your stillness. It's easy to feel overlooked when you're called to the quiet work. It's easy to wonder if anyone notices the sacrifices you make, the prayers you pray behind closed doors, the dreams you nurture in silence. But friend, let me assure you, heaven has noticed. God has seen every single act of obedience you've made in private. Matthew 6:6 reminds us that what's done in secret will be rewarded openly. So while others have been sprinting toward applause, you've been planting seeds of purpose, and those seeds are getting ready to bloom. You weren't born to chase attention. You were born to carry anointing. And that anointing doesn't make noise, it makes impact.
You are what the Bible calls a wise master builder in 1 Corinthians 3:10.
You don't just throw things together. You build with care, with clarity, with deep spiritual conviction. You've taken your time because you knew what you were building wasn't shallow, it was sacred. And now, just as a house reveals its architect only after the scaffolding is removed, your life is about to reveal the brilliance of what God has been doing in you all along. Here's what makes you different. You're a discerner. You don't just react to situations, you respond to the Spirit. You pray before you speak. You pause before you move. You evaluate not by emotion, but by revelation. And that's what makes your presence powerful. When you walk into a room, you don't have to say much. Your spirit speaks before your words ever do. That's not arrogance, that's authority. That's what happens when you spend time with God. You carry His aroma. You reflect His rhythm. You echo His wisdom. This kind of discernment doesn't come from scrolling through everyone else's opinions. It comes from prayer. From those long, quiet moments when you sit with God and let Him shape your perspective. Prayer is your blueprint. It's the place where your ideas get refined, where your heart gets aligned, where your spirit gets realigned with heaven's timing. James 5:16 tells us that the fervent prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. And you, dear one, are living proof. Your life may not have been loud, but your prayers have shaken foundations. Maybe you've wondered if being quiet means you're behind. Maybe you've been tempted to compare your journey with those who seem to be racing ahead. But don't let the speed of others make you question the strength of your foundation. God has not forgotten you. He's been building you, layer by layer, moment by moment, prayer by prayer. And soon, what was hidden will be revealed, not to bring you pride, but to bring Him glory. Isaiah 60:22 says, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen." And that time is coming. Here's something new to help you stay rooted in your identity as a builder and observer. Start a prayer builder's log. Not just a prayer journal, but a blueprint for the life you're building with God. Write down the ideas He gives you in prayer. Sketch out visions. Record confirmations. Note answered prayers, even the ones that came differently than you expected. Use it as a reminder that you're not just wandering, you're constructing something holy with every quiet yes. The people around you might not understand your silence. They might misread your calm. But that's okay. Let them wonder, because while they were talking, you were listening. While they were performing, you were preparing. And soon, your fruit will speak louder than their noise. Proverbs 13:12 says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life." You've waited, you've believed, you've prayed, and now your tree is about to bloom. There's something holy about being unseen. Jesus Himself often slipped away from the crowd to pray, to realign with the Father, to refill His Spirit. Luke 5:16 says, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." If the Son of God needed that hidden place, how much more do we? Your hiddenness is not punishment, it's preparation, and the weight of your becoming is about to be felt. Don't underestimate the quiet hours. Don't dismiss the slow days. Don't think that because you're not making noise, you're not making progress. You are becoming more powerful than you know. The longer you've stayed hidden, the deeper your roots have grown. And when you rise, because you will rise, you will be unshakable. If this message resonates with your soul, if you felt the ache of being unseen but held on anyway, I want to invite you to comment below. God, thank you for building me in silence. Bless me to rise in prayerful strength. Let it be a declaration of alignment. Let it mark this moment, because you are not forgotten. You are being formed. You are the one who listens before speaking. You are the one who discerns what others dismiss. You are the one who builds without needing applause. And because of that, you are the one God will trust to carry His glory. Quiet builders create lasting legacies, and heaven is smiling on you. Your roar is coming, but it will be birthed in prayer, not performance. It will rise from humility, not hustle. And it will shift more than a room. It will shift generations. You're not behind. You're being positioned. You're not stuck. You're being sanctified. And your name is already echoing in rooms you haven't entered yet. Because when God builds a life, He builds it to last. So walk forward, not in noise, but in reverence. Keep building, keep observing, keep praying. Because when you move, heaven moves with you, and the world will feel the weight of your becoming.
Turn pain into legacy, adversity into assignment. You didn't survive to stay quiet. You didn't walk through everything you did just to shrink back and blend in. You didn't make it through the fire to hide the warmth of your wisdom. You are still here for a reason. God brought you through for a purpose far greater than comfort. He preserved you, shaped you, refined you, not just for your healing, but so you could help heal others. The pain you endured was not pointless. The adversity you faced wasn't random. It was an assignment, a divine shaping, a holy preparation. And now it's time to rise, not just for yourself, but for the ones watching you. There are people who don't know how to hope anymore. They're still caught in cycles of loss, fear, shame, and silence. And they need someone who's been through it. Not someone who speaks from theory, but someone who speaks from scars. That someone is you. Because your scars are not a sign of shame. They are blueprints. Blueprints of survival. Blueprints of courage. Blueprints of a God who never left your side, even when the world walked away. What the enemy tried to use to destroy you, God is now using to deploy you. You are stepping into the next chapter of your faith story, not as the wounded, but as the warrior. Romans 8:18 says, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. That glory isn't just waiting in eternity, it's beginning to break forth now. And it looks like your life becoming a light to someone else's darkness. It looks like your story unlocking freedom for someone else. What once felt like brokenness is becoming your greatest ministry. That's what faith does. It takes the shattered pieces of yesterday and molds them into testimonies of God's unfailing goodness. Think about Joseph, betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused and forgotten in prison. But none of it was wasted. In Genesis 50:20, Joseph says to the very ones who hurt him, You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. That's the shift from pain to purpose, from adversity to assignment. God never left Joseph in the pit. He elevated him into a position of influence, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. And the same is true for you. Your healed presence can become someone else's miracle. You don't have to preach with a microphone. Your life preaches when you choose joy in the middle of sorrow.
Your life preaches when you offer forgiveness to those who don't deserve it. Your life preaches when you sit beside someone who's grieving and say, "I've been there. I know how this feels, and I promise you're not alone." That's legacy. Legacy isn't about leaving behind money or buildings. It's about leaving behind hope. And you, beloved, are a carrier of hope. Let's get practical. One way to start turning your pain into legacy is through what I call faith reflections. Set aside some time each week to journal or voice record how you've seen God work through your hardest seasons. Don't sugarcoat it. Be honest. Talk about the nights you didn't think you'd make it. Talk about the prayers that seemed to go unanswered. Then record how God moved, even if it was months later. Over time, these reflections will become a living testimony. They'll help you see how far you've come, and one day, they'll help someone else walk through their own valley. Another way to turn adversity into assignment is to ask God this question in prayer. Lord, who have you assigned to my healing? Because healing is not just about you, it's about who comes next. 2 Corinthians 1:4 says, "He comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God." The comfort you received isn't meant to stop with you. It's meant to flow through you. Faith multiplies when we give it away. You don't have to wait until everything is perfect to begin. Start right where you are. Speak up. Reach out. Share that part of your story you've kept tucked away because it felt too raw. You'll be amazed at how healing it is to see someone else's eyes light up and say, "Me too. I thought I was the only one." That moment of connection is holy. That's where chains break. That's where silence loses its grip. That's where God takes over. Some of the most powerful faith movements begin in whispers, in the quiet yes that nobody hears but heaven, in the decision to try again even when you're tired, in the moment you choose to believe that your story still matters. So don't underestimate what's growing in you. You are becoming the kind of person you once prayed for. You are becoming the example you never had. And every hard place you walk through is now becoming a road someone else will follow out of their darkness. Let's not forget Jesus, the ultimate example of pain turned into legacy. His suffering wasn't just to save us from sin. It was to walk with us through suffering. Hebrews 4:15 tells us that we don't have a Savior who is distant from our pain. We have one who sympathizes with us, who was tempted and tested just like we are. That means when you feel weary, misunderstood, or broken, Jesus gets it. And not only does he get it, he redeems it. If this message has reached something tender in your heart, if you've walked through fire and felt like your story no longer had meaning, I want to invite you to comment below, "God, use my faith story for your glory. Turn my pain into purpose and bless me to help others rise." Let that comment be your declaration. Let it be a moment where heaven marks your faith. You are not a mistake. You are a messenger. You are not broken beyond repair. You are being rebuilt for a mission. And you are not forgotten. You are being equipped. God isn't done. He's just beginning to reveal why you survived what you did. So take a breath, stand tall, walk forward, and know that your legacy is not what you leave behind one day. It's what you're living right now. With every step of faith, you are becoming the miracle someone else has been praying for. And that, dear one, is holy. That is purpose. That is victory.
Your silence was never empty. It was sacred. Every moment you held your tongue, every time you chose grace instead of retaliation, every season you endured without applause, God was working behind the scenes. To the one who stayed when it would have been easier to run, to the one who kept believing when faith felt impossible, your strength has not gone unnoticed. You were not forgotten. You were being formed. And now, your legacy begins. Not with noise, but with presence. This is your moment to rise in quiet confidence, to walk boldly, knowing your healing will bring healing. Your peace will plant peace. Your wisdom, earned in silence, will speak louder than anything you've ever said. If this message spoke to your soul, please take a second and like this video. It helps more chosen ones like you find these words. And if you felt seen today, I invite you to type in the comments, "My silence was never weakness, it was wisdom. God is fighting for me." Let it be your declaration, your turning point. And don't leave without subscribing to Spiritual Journals, where faith and self-improvement meet to reshape destinies. Here we don't chase validation, we seek transformation. Let's grow together. Let's walk this path with purpose. And now I pray a blessing over you. May the Lord lift every hidden burden. May your quiet faith be met with loud favor. May your secret prayers be answered in undeniable ways. You are loved, you are chosen, and the best is still ahead.